Actually, great song.
Timeless.
I can't sing it as you just heard, but it's a great song.
Nice attempt.
But the Adventures of Pipe Man has a very special guest today, and I am so honored to have Lynn Brown Rosenberg on the show, because this is going to be very, very, very exciting. This is a woman that helps people to realize their sexual awareness over 70, Chad.
I hope I can at that age too.
What do you think, Rebel? When you're over 70, do you want to be like Lynn Brown Rosenberg?
Absolutely. I want to still be able to have fun and enjoy it.
So I want to, with no further ado, bring on the author of the memoir, My Sexual Awakening at 70, Lynn Brown Rosenberg.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, we are so happy to have you. And you and I had such a long conversation, and you're an inspiration to me, I can tell you that.
Am I?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it gives me hope as a male, because I'm thinking, I'm 48 now, so I'm thinking, great, when I turn 70, like, whatever woman I'm with or what have you it's going to be done, and is not going to want to be with me, and you have given me hope.
Oh, that's great. I'm so happy.
So I'm kind of curious, what got you started on this journey towards sexual awakening?
Well, one day I took stock of my life, and I realized I had not had sex in over a decade. And
Ouch.
I just decided that was just way too long, and wanted to do something about it. And I was on a medication that was a known sexual inhibitor. So the first thing I did was go to my doctor and ask for a change of medication. And after he changed me, I came alive again.
Wow.
So that was the first part of my journey.
So wait a minute, I have a question here. There's medication out there that inhibits you from the ability of wanting sex or
Exactly.
having sex?
Yeah.
Oh.
It inhibits your desire.
Stay away from those pills, please, or whatever.
Exactly. Well, the kind of medication that it is, all the drugs, that help with that are sexual inhibitors, can be. But it so happened that when he changed me, it worked for me.
Nice.
Wow. So I was doing some research, and I actually was kind of in shock about this next question I'm going to ask you. But it appears you have been on sex chat websites. And people don't take it the wrong way. I mean, she actually joined as a member. What was that like? Your first encounter on a sex chat website, what was that like?
Well, first of all, I was very reticent to do this. I had never done anything like this in my life. But it was a process. I started out first going to a sex store and buying products, and that I had never done before, and watching porn, and that was a new experience. But I felt the need for a connection with somebody, and I had no one in my life at the time.
Okay, wait a minute. I have to ask this. And you are over 70 at this point when you do this. When you went to these stores, have you ever been to any of those type of stores prior to?
I never had.
How did it feel going into these places?
Well, I was a nervous wreck. I had my heart in my mouth driving over there. But I just was determined to do it. So I wanted to get in and out of there as fast as possible. But when I went to the store, the one I went to is aptly called the Pleasure Chest. And it was neat and clean, and the staff was friendly, but not too friendly. And it was actually a pleasant experience. So it was a process. And so finally, my doctor that I was discussing this with, he was very open-minded, and I said, I'd really like a connection. I don't have one. And he said, well, there are sex chat websites. And I thought, no way am I going to talk sex with a stranger. But sometimes I say no before I say yes. And I thought about it, and I decided to do it. I signed up as Sensual Night 16, and I was contacted immediately by a young man, a very young man, decades younger than myself. And I wasn't going to talk to him, and then I thought, what the heck, you know, he's an adult, I'm an adult, what difference does it make? And we started, you know, having this, well, I should back up a little bit. When I was watching porn, there was one particular tape that really interested me, and that was of a woman who talked and touched. That's all she did was talk and touch. And when I went on this website, I thought, what am I going to say to these guys, or this guy, or whoever? I have no idea. And then I remembered the tape. So I went back to the tape and wrote down word for word what she said, and I used that as my dialogue.
Interesting.
And in the end, there was a happy man.
Well, wow, there you go. And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel great. It was very, I came from a very, very reserved background, and it's kind of intimidating as well. And so there was never a discussion of that sex was enjoyable, pleasurable, you know, something you want to do. It was something that felt very out of bounds. Enjoyment never even came into the picture. You know, I had sex, but I wasn't free. I wasn't free. So doing this sex chat website just took all that away. And that's when I decided to write about it, because I thought, you know, I can't be the only one out there who has had some sort of difficulty in their background regarding sex.
Absolutely.
And I thought maybe other people could benefit.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you might have very well created happiness for millions of people.
Well, that would be great. You know, that would really be wonderful. You know, what I'm finding is even men are enjoying reading this book for a variety of reasons. Of course, I wrote some erotic stories, and they're in there, so there's lots of sex. But, I mean, men and women of all ages seem to enjoy this, much to my surprise.
Well, that's because you're giving them hope that it's never going to end.
Oh, is that it? Okay, good.
You know, because if you think about it, no matter what age you are, you definitely enjoy. Well, I'm hoping everybody's enjoying it, and if not, you're doing it wrong. But
right,
they can probably pick up the book and learn a little something.
exactly.
So I have a question for you, and
Sure.
I hope it's not an uncomfortable one, but in this day and age where there's so many cougars out there, does that mean that a woman in their 70s that does find their sexual awakening like you did tends to go for the younger guys because they're, you know, the ones their age are taking too much Viagra or something?
Well, I just seem to be drawn to younger men. I didn't plan it. I just don't seem to be attracted to men my own age, or at least the ones I've met.
So do you find that the younger men can keep up with you a little bit better than the older ones?
Well, I just haven't even been with anybody my own age, so I don't know.
So pretty much it's sexual attraction. I mean, everybody has, you know, a type that they like, or, you know, things that they like. So you're finding it more in younger men.
I am. I'm just more drawn to them.
And we like to say, gentlemen out, and we would like to say for the older gentlemen out there, there are women for you too. Don't worry.
Well, it could even be me. You know, I might just not have met the right person.
Exactly.
But thus far, you know, it is what I just said. You know, a little bit younger.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your first kiss and what effect that experience had on your sexuality.
Well, when I was 14, well, first of all, when I was 12, my mother gave me the talk, but it was kind of strange. It was very clinical, and no mention of love or joy or anything like that. And as she spoke, tears ran down her cheeks. And as I watched her cry, I started to cry. And I didn't know why either one of us were crying, but that was kind of my introduction to sex. So, you know, and that it was a duty and all this stuff. But when I was 14, my parents took me to a resort about half an hour shy of Palm Springs called Highland Springs. And one night, the resort gave a party for teens, and I went, and I met a boy who I was very attracted to, 16, and we danced and talked, and he asked me if I'd like to take a walk, and we did, and it was so romantic. And we wound up on a chaise lounge kissing. And my parents found me there, much to my horror, and told me to get up, and they sent the boy away, and of course I never heard from him again. And they dragged me back to the cabin and told me only prostitutes enjoy sex.
Wow.
So I had some pretty tough messages to deal with, you know, regarding sex.
Yeah, definitely, because, I mean, from what I've heard, most prostitutes don't even enjoy sex.
Exactly.
That's something else. Wow, I mean, that was kind of harsh for them to say that. How long did that stay with you?
Well, it stayed with me until now, you know. I mean, I wrote about it in my book, and it was very impactful on me.
So, let me get this straight for the listeners, that it wasn't until you reached your 70s that you had any kind of positive feeling towards sex.
No, that's not entirely true. I mean, I did have sex. I did enjoy it to some degree, but I was never really free. Not like now.
Wow. So you know, if you could talk to women out there, okay? Because, you know, a lot of women, they have the same feelings you did. They were taught the same things you were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of women, they get married and they think, it just should be a certain way. And, you know, sometimes that's why there's cheating in a marriage on both sides, actually, because,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if you could really connect sexually with your spouse, there would be no need to cheat, you know.
Right.
So if you could talk to women out there, what do you feel the message should be and would be?
You know, I think the greatest obstacle, well, one of the greatest obstacles to great sex is a lack of openness. And it's so hard to see sometimes that you're not being open. It's very hard to see when you have certain things in your head, like you just said. So I would urge them to try and look at their life and look at their sex life and see how they really feel about it, and try and open their minds in whatever way they can, because otherwise it's a life not fully lived.
So now, in your whole sexual awakening, have you, I don't know how to put this without it sounding uncomfortable, but
Just put it out there.
But I mean, do you get into exploration and fantasies? You know, they call it like vanilla or not vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
So at 70 plus, would you categorize this awakening as more of a vanilla awakening or a kinky awakening?
I wouldn't call it kinky. I'm not into, well, I mean, fantasies, I no longer consider, of vanilla, I don't know what
It's okay.
I want to say here.
Just tell us.
They were off base for me, before, but now they're great, you know, fantasies, but I'm not into whips and chains and things like that.
Yeah, well, okay, well that's good. So I'm kind of curious too, as a guy, okay, how do these guys react when they realize that you're a 70 plus woman and this sexually awakened?
Well, so far, it's been very positive.
And
When I go out on a date, and I tell them about my book, they all want to read it, and they read it, and they really enjoy it. So
yeah,
that's all I can tell
because we're
you.
not going to talk about it on the air, but you got some dirty stuff in the book, don't you?
Well, it depends what you think of as dirty, you know.
Good
Dirty
point.
in a good way. Dirty in a good way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how I look
I
at it.
like
I mean,
dirty.
it's not how I would have looked at it 20 years ago,
Right.
but it's how I look at it now. I think anything between two people that's acceptable is great.
So, how can people buy your book, and how can people contact you? And are you still alive and well on the dating sites that they can? And maybe they could go find you on the dating sites too.
Oh, well.
That one I was kidding about.
Oh. Well, they can find me. My book is on Amazon, and they can reach me through my website, which is lynnbrownrosenberg.com.
Very cool. And so, I'm just kind of curious. You said you're normally drawn to younger men, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is the youngest age at this stage of your life that you've pursued?
Well, he pursued me. I wouldn't say that I pursued him.
Was that before or after reading
I
the
had
book?
lunch with a 40-year-old, and we wound up kissing. And he was the best kisser I've ever had in my whole life. So
Wow.
there you have it.
I'm getting hot already just hearing it. And
Don't take much. No, don't fight back.
my engineer just left the room. I don't think he could handle it. I think.
Oh dear.
So yeah, everybody make sure to buy this book. Okay. I mean, I can't express anymore. I've had a long conversation with Lynn, and I mean, I'm in awe of you. Actually, to tell you the truth, you give hope to, especially us guys. You give hope to us because, you know, society teaches that once a woman turns 50 and goes through menopause, you know, you're screwed, guys, because she's, you know. So forget what
That's
you
not
went through,
the case.
but. You know, a lot of women like to lead men to believe that, you know, they have no sexual interest anymore at a certain stage, and you've proven them wrong.
Well, that's great. That's great.
I think that's the most important part, because there's different reasons people need your message. You know, there's
Right.
the reasons like for yourself, what happened to you, which is very prevalent. Even in this day and age, it's kind of prevalent. You know, of course, it was much more in your generation because
Right.
it was just considered such a taboo. You didn't even talk about sex.
Exactly.
We couldn't even have this radio interview right now back in that day. So,
Sure.
but I can tell you that, you know, there's many reasons that people need to read your book. It's called My Sexual Awakening at 70. And one more time, why don't you give them all your contact information?
It's the website is www.lynnbrownrosenberg with the BERG.com.
All right, beautiful. And just hold on the line a second here. I'm going to talk to you
Okay.
when we get off the air. I'm going to finish up the show here. And
Sure.
what a way to finish, huh, Rebel?
That's what they all said. What a way to finish.
Good one, Rebel.
And to finish at 70 is even better.
Even better. There's hope for all ages.
So, all you people out there, you know, hey, there's hope for everybody. We can all have sex, and we can all enjoy it, and it's all right.
Woohoo!
Here on the Adventures of Pipe Man.